This is what silver you should be buying right now.
Well, it's cup of coffee in the big time, yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time, because you'll never get closer than now.
Hey guys, Patriotic Stacker here. Happy Sunday to everybody. I hope all your guys' weekend is going great. And in this video, I thought it was a good time to tell you what I think, what silver you guys should be buying right now. I know there's not a lot of people buying gold and silver at these prices. I mean, an ounce of gold is about $4,000, $4,100, give or take. We're in a little dip right now, but gold is $4,000 an ounce. Just 2 years ago, I was buying ounces of gold for anywhere between $1,800 to $2,200 an ounce. And when I started stacking gold, it was practically $1,200 to $1,300 an ounce. So it's definitely doubled since then. So, and silver is $48 to $50 an ounce. It's going, it's in a little dip right now like gold. Right now I think it's at 48 and change, but that's still a lot of money. I remember buying silver between $10 to $25 an ounce, and that wasn't too long ago. I mean, I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, where silver dipped back down to about $15 an ounce. And now silver has done more than doubled. It is sitting at almost $50 an ounce. Now, I know a lot of people aren't buying because of those prices, but me, I stack regardless. I mean, it's one thing if silver hits 100 an ounce, I'm probably not going to be buying too much then, or gold hits 10,000 an ounce, but I'm dollar cost averaging. I've been buying and buying and buying for 12 years now, and I have no plans on stopping because I believe having your savings in precious metals is better than having your savings in cash, because the $100 bill is losing its buying power each year that goes by. Gold and silver, if anything, it goes up. It's not a traditional investment. It's a safe place to put your money, your savings. It's an insurance, and it could be a long-term investment. So, I'm still buying because if I have money to save, I put it into precious metals, real estate, and other things like that. Obviously, everyone needs a nest egg of cash laying around. You should save some cash, but I rather put it into something that's I can hold in my hand, or something I can walk into, or a house, precious metals and all that stuff. But I noticed with these current prices, a 10-ounce bar, for example, they're 500 bucks. Um, a tube of mercury dimes, $200. I mean, prices are expensive, especially if you've been stacking as long as I have, and a lot of other people in this community that's been stacking for a long time. It's hard to bring yourself to pay, um, say, $200 for a tube of mercury dimes, or 170, when you could get a tube of mercury dimes just a few years ago, not even like a year and a half ago, for about $75 to $80 a tube, which is $5 face value, or 3.575 ounces of silver. Now you're paying, again, like I said, double. But what I noticed that hasn't changed much in price is vintage silver bars. For example, this Engelhart Bull logo, I would pay, when silver was at $20 to $25 an ounce, these were going for about $500. Because obviously, there's a premium on vintage bars, on a high premium silver and gold. Um, like I said, the price on this, I would have paid, $100 to $300 over the actual silver content of this bar. For example, if you're just going by the silver value on this bar, it's about $500, 480, 490, about $500. Well, I bought this bar for the same price I could have bought it 2 years ago when silver was $25 an ounce. Obviously, the premiums was high on these back then, because there was a lot of people buying because of the prices of silver was so cheap, and gold. Well, now local coin shops are having a lot. They have a lot of metals they're sitting on, because there's not many people that have the money to buy, um, especially at these prices. And there's not many people stacking. More people are just holding on to their precious metals. You have a lot of people that are selling at these current prices, but local coin shops are having a hard time um, selling, lots amounts of bullion. Um, Pretty much, you know, there's no premium on this stuff. They're pretty much selling silver, vintage silver for $2 to $3 over spot, and that's unheard of. So I paid $540 for this 10-ounce Canadian Series Bull logo. Only 50,000 of these were minted, and who knows how many are really out there today. And then I also met him and bought these two beautiful Engelhart P waffle backs. Now again, back in the day when silver was cheap at $25 an ounce, when 10-ounce bars were going for around $270 to $300 a bar, these were going for $400 to $500. Not as much as the bull logos, for example. The bull logos are a little more sought after and a little more rarer, but these definitely had a premium on them. I'm paying with the current price, silver, the 10-ounce bar, like I said, is about anywhere from, online I'm seeing right now, 10-ounce bars are around $490, $485. Local coin shops might be able to get some for $480. I paid $515 for these beautiful Waffleback Engelhart bars. At the time I bought it, which was yesterday, I was paying $3 over. I think it was two or three. I have to double check my spreadsheet, but I was paying two or three over spot. A few years ago, these were like silver price plus, 20, 30, 40, 50, like $100. It was silver price plus 100 and premium, like 100 over spot. They were expensive. So I'm definitely buying tons of vintage Engelhart bars and other vintage silver because it pays to buy vintage silver right now. I mean, there's practically no premium on them, and I'm definitely capitalizing on their vintage silver as we speak. But yeah, check out this beautiful Engelhart waffle back. Look at the waffle on that. And this is this the one that I was um you can see here on the one, it's probably hard to pick up, but you see how there's like two little dots? I know some Engleharts with those dots can be worth even more, so I'd have to check that out. But yeah, very cool. And then I bought this beautiful pea waffle bag. Look at the waffle on that. But yeah, guys, I highly recommend stacking vintage silver right now. It makes so much sense. Because look at it this way. You go online right now to a local coin shop and you buy a 10-ounce stacker or a 10-ounce silver mint, Silvertown bar, or any type of generic silver bar, 10-ounce Germania bar. You're paying about $500, $490 to $500, when you can spend an extra $2 over spot, you know, over to extra $2 over that price, and you can get yourself some vintage silver. And these will always be collectible. And the more years that go by, the harder it is to get these beautiful vintage bars. So yeah, definitely been stacking the vintage silver. And then another silver I'm stacking right now because there's practically no premium on this stuff. Dealers are trying to get rid of it for like crazy prices, especially at local coin shops. But obviously, you're 90% silver. A lot of dealers are not even buying 90% silver or sterling silver or any type of scrap silver. A lot of dealers are just turning it down because they don't have buyers for it, or they have to sell it really cheap. So I've been buying a lot of 90%. I've always been a big 90% stacker. I love U.S. pre-1964 coinage, but I've been really buying that a lot more lately because the prices are very good on 90%. There's practically no premium on it. Pretty much the last month and a half, every 90% I've been buying, from Morgan's, half dollars, peace dollars, Mercury dimes, Roosevelt dimes, Washington quarters, Standing Liberty quarters, there's practically no premium on this stuff. I'm buying it from melt, sometimes even under melt, like these tubes of Mercury dimes. I did a video on it. I bought a tube of Mercury dimes for $85 at the coin show. And then the other stand I paid 175, which was spot price, melt price on the tube. And then the one stand, the first stand I went to, I paid 190, which is pretty much what it's going for online. But 90% silver right now is so cheap. A lot of dealers are practically selling it for the melt value, or maybe a few dollars over the melt value. So I've definitely been buying a lot of 90% silver lately, especially my Mercury dimes. I love Mercury dimes. I've been buying a lot of loose Morgans and peace dollars, and I've been buying a lot of half dollars. But yeah, guys, this is a silver you should be looking at right now. A lot of places, like I said, are selling 90% very cheap, mostly for melt price. Check out your coin shops. Go to your local coin shops and ask them, what's the price on 90%. A lot of them are selling it for melt price because they just can't get rid of it. And vintage silver, man, vintage silver, Engelhart bars. This is probably the cheapest it's ever been when it comes to their premiums. I mean, yeah, you're still spending $500 on a 10-ounce bar of silver. That's a lot of money right now if you don't have that extra $500 to spend on a 10-ounce silver bar. Um, but I mean, you're getting the price of the Engelhart bars pretty much. They're a great buy right now. Any type of vintage silver, you can get it for practically a few dollars over spot price. Like I said, I think I paid around $2 to $3 over spot on these. This one was a little more expensive, but still $5.40 for this is cheap. I mean, if you go on AppMex or Liberty Coins right now, they're selling pressed Engelhart bars, which are the most common Engelhart bars you can get. They're selling them for about $5.50. So getting this for $5.40 is outstanding. So guys, definitely stack that vintage silver now. It's a great time to be doing that. Eventually the premiums will go back up on this stuff, and you'll have a gold. You're sitting on a gold mine, and 90% silver. 90% silver. Your Morgans like these here, I paid 37 each. That's melt price. I paid melt for these Morgan dollars, and they're in beautiful shape. And then the 90% Mercury dimes and quarters. I mean, they're practically giving it away. It's a great time to be buying 90% silver and vintage silver. And then obviously, you can buy your other 10-ounce bars and your generic silver and your government coins. You know me, I love my silver eagles. But if you want to get the best bang for your buck, 90% silver right now and vintage. Right now they're just trying to get this stuff out the door, so they're dropping premiums like crazy. And especially too at the price. I mean, like I said, silver, gold at 50 to 4,000 an ounce. There's not many people buying. Like a lot of people are just holding or buying a few things at a time. But if you want to buy some silver, you know, get the 10-ounce vintage or any type of vintage bar. The premiums are low, and some 90%. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.